and we are sure that you'll find it both inspiring and welcoming. But this evening, friends, this evening is to welcome you and to remind you that you have a community of support in us, both from fellow students, you can make new friends this evening, and from those who have walked this path before you. So huge welcome, and now it's my great honor to invite the High Commissioner of India, Mr. Vikram Doraiswamy, to make his keynote address to you. And before we invite High Commissioner, here is a small video of the High Commission's outreach to students to give you an idea of how we can help you in the year ahead. Thank you. Can we play the video, please? And now, friends, let's hear from the man himself, the High Commissioner of India, Mr. Vikram Doraiswamy.
Thank you, Sarah, and ladies and gentlemen, and I suppose I'm old enough to say boys and girls, a warm welcome to all of you at your house, India House in London. To those of you watching us from
All right, fair enough. So much for technology. So to those of you who are watching us from far away, I know it's a challenge. It's not close enough for you to have made it here, but we want all of you to feel part of this collective of our students as part of the broader student family that's here in the UK, and to be able to tell all of you, all of the young people who've come here to the UK for their studies, a warm welcome on this chilly day. And put it this way, your du'aएं, your good wishes, your enthusiasm even made the rain go away. I can tell you we are really relieved because fitting all of you in, nearly 600 of you into the building would have been a huge challenge. We would have really had to struggle to have everybody in. I know when you look at all of this and you look at the grey hair on some of the speakers, certainly mine, you might be wondering, are you here to listen to Dad's lecture one more time? I'm sure your dads have given you all these lectures, but that's not the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is essentially to give you some thoughts as you start your student journey here, no matter if it's at your undergrad level or your postgrad level, what you should really be thinking about doing out here. And I know this, you've got this message when you've come from home, but there are some thoughts that since we live here and we've seen generations of students go past us, what we'd like to share with you. And we've got a range of interesting speakers for you to interact with, so I won't take long. The first thought I wanted to leave with you is there is a history and a legacy that you actually are part of. Going back almost 100 years, indeed 100 years, and a bit more, the generation that came here as the first and second generations of Indian students to come here and study were the ones who went back and contributed to both India's freedom and the task of rebuilding India. And that was remarkably a period of such great unity that it didn't matter whether people were on the left of the spectrum or the right of the spectrum as far as politics went. They all believed in one thing, which was to be able to contribute back. And in your own way, what you will do when you finish your studies is exactly that. And I have the greatest confidence in your generation, in your ability to be innovative, think of new ideas, new ways of being part of the larger India story. And I want to tell you, we are empathetic, sympathetic and supportive of your dreams, and to the extent we can, we would love to see you go back home and succeed as much as you can. That is a great message, and honestly, we think you are really primed to be able to lead India in a whole new direction. The second message I wanted to suggest to you is, of course, that this is an interesting, different country that perhaps you're familiar with popular culture, etc. But it is an opportunity for you to go beyond your comfort zone. So do look at this as an opportunity to be part of whatever is around you. Embrace something that looks new, a sport, a cultural thing that looks interesting. The history of this country, its museums, its art, whatever it is that makes it interesting to you. This is your chance to do something that you wouldn't have done back home. So do that. I mean, do that as long as it's legal. I don't want your parents screaming at me later. Second, remember who you are and where you came from. That is your identity, that's what makes you different, and that should be your secret sauce or your magic potion to take you forward in what is frankly a much more competitive, much more level global playing field. You are going to be competing against the best young people out there, but you are inheritors of an ancient civilization and you are from a country that is 1.5 billion strong. You will know how to compete and get there. God knows you've competed to get here. I'm sure you'll be able to compete on an equal footing and to show what you're made of. But do it by showing who you are and where you came from. And third, essentially, the chance for you to take advantage of your learnings here and the global world that we live in, and to see what is the niche that you can occupy when you go back to India. I think that's a really interesting part of the opportunity, of the piece that you might want to take with you for your research, for your further studies, or for creating a new business, whatever it is that is of interest to you. That piece, I think, is really, really, really important. More seriously, I do want to tell you a couple of things, which here's the dad bit coming in. One, remember, you're not alone out here. There is, apart from all of you, and there is about 600 of you here to catch up with, in every one of our university towns, we have an Indian student community. We also generally have an Indian community. never feel that you're alone. We want you to recognize that there are support mechanisms and you must be there for each other. Much as we would like to, and we would do our best to be able to support you, we can only be sort of like, if we're much younger generation, but the old generation of Bollywood movies, the police would always come in at the last bit, the last reel. We're kind of like that. We will be there in an emergency, but we're not there on a daily basis to support you. So what we do need you to do is to be there for each other, link up with communities, and be proactive in thinking about what your challenges are and how you need to face them. And lastly, in extremis, in difficult circumstances, in other words, don't forget to reach out to us back home, because this is important. Your families, every supporting infrastructure that has sent you here is invested in the idea of your success and your safety. Never forget that, and never forget who you are, where you came from, or what makes you proud to be who you are. For me, that's being Indian, and I'm sure that is for all of you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, High Commissioner. And can I just add that we've all observed that High Commissioner has the same energy and focus in driving and executing the most complex bilateral agreement or deal as he has when he speaks to young people. So that's really quite rare, and I'm delighted that so many of you are here this evening to dip into this opportunity and just the pleasure of being part of this family, the India House family. Now, I just want to ask you, how many of us are still converting from pounds to rupees when we're buying a cup of coffee? How many are not? They're the really rich ones. Oh, great. I need to have dinner with you, lady. Okay, excellent. So this brings us to our it sounds a bit dry, but I think your parents would love to see that you're all paying attention to this part of the evening. Because, by the way, you are on YouTube Live. So I think your mom and dad might be watching to see if you've worn your thermal vests this evening. But for many of you, this is the first time you're fully in charge, or you think you are in control of your finances. Whether it's budgeting for rent, handling your student loans, or deciding how much to spend on a weekend night out. I'm very happy to tell you that today's dinner and refreshments are on the house. Obviously, it's family. But here's the thing. Being financially smart isn't about restricting yourself, always thinking that, oh my God, this was in 500 rupees, so I can't spend 4.5 quid. It's about empowering yourself with information. It's about making informed choices today that give you more freedom tomorrow. So learning how to handle your money wisely will not only keep you out of debt and calling up mom and dad in an embarrassed way at the end of the week, but also get you out of the trap of constantly converting everything to rupees and then foregoing on this or that opportunity or date. So to make this more informative, let's dive into practical ways that you can take control of your money, control of your wallet, avoid common pitfalls, and set yourself up for success, both as a student and beyond. Because financial literacy is something that, or the lack of it is a pitfall that might plague us through life. So I'd like to invite Mr. Gaurav Arora. He's the business head for ICICI Bank, and who hopefully will shed some light, and I think we can all benefit from it. But let's give him a huge round of applause. Thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you. Guys, my name is Aru Anand. Gaurav Arora was here, but he had to rush back, was not keeping well. I represent ICICI Bank UK. And I'm very happy to welcome all of you on behalf of ICICI Bank and in collaboration with the High Commission of India here. We understand that most of you are new to this country and you would need a banking partner to support you in your journey here, because most of the economy here is mostly cashless, so you'll need to have a bank account and a debit card. Some of you would have already opened a bank account with us in India and would have received the debit card. For the rest of you, we're more than happy to help you in your account opening. We understand that you would not have a financial footprint here in this country, so PRP is more than enough, and we give you some time in order to be able to generate a utility bill and then submit it to us. We also help you in cross-border money movement, so money coming in from India to the UK or vice versa, so we are here to support you. any sort of a financial requirement that you have with respect to your UK banking, please feel free to reach out to us. We have a presence of 10 branches here in the UK. We are also present digitally. We have a call center, and you can also write back to us. Thank you for your attention, and we have a short video showing our offerings. Can we have the short video, please?
Can you hear me at the back? Sorry, didn't mean to shriek. Thank you, Arup, for standing in for Gaurav. There's more information at the ice kiosk just to my right. And before we move on to the next part of this evening, I want to remind you that there are quite a few lovely surprises waiting for us as the Friday night unfolds, including some really cool merch from Universal Music. You've heard of Universal Music? Yes? Can you hear me up back? Hi, can you guys hear me at the back? Okay, it's great to be backbenchers, but if you can't hear me, you'll miss out on some really interesting information. And signed merch from Rajasthan Royals. These are the Lucky Dip prizes that we'll announce later this evening. And huddled up in many layers on the front row is this very, can I call you youth icon, or you're pushing 40 now? Pushing 40 icon. The wonderful comedian and really thought leader in many ways, Rohan Joshi. So, and that'll be a little later because we do leave the best for the last, which is not to say that the more serious parts, so cream rises to the top. So High Commissioner just reminded me that I might have committed a diplomatic faux pas here. But so we'll come to Rohan Joshi at the end, along with our exciting merch and the cool gifts, and of course your free supper that we'll all enjoy together as a family. But we do want to concentrate on some of the really serious things that will help you this year and the next while you navigate your journey. And we come to internships. Because they're crucial, because they provide real-world experience. They help you explore careers and develop both technical and soft skills. We are delighted to have with us this evening Jonathan Padyal from Universal Music UK. And I want to also add that Jonathan was formerly a Westminster Policy Advisor. He worked with the Department for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport, advising on British culture and the digital economy. And so he can give you an insight, if you catch him later, into how government works as well. So presenting Jonathan Padyal to tell us something about internships and working in the UK.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Yes, thank you. Yeah, so my name's Jonathan Badial. I'm Director of Communications for Universal Music. You stole my line, but I wanted to ask, does everybody know who Universal are? If you've heard of Universal, put your hand up just so I can have it. So, good. So, as you all know, we're the world's largest music company. We employ around 12,000 people globally, with around 1,200 in the UK alone. And we work with some of the world's greatest artists, from Sam Smith, the Beatles, Stormzy, Taylor Swift, and many more. So why am I here today? One of the things I'm working at in my day job is trying to improve the number of people with Indian heritage working at our company. I'm also looking at how we can do more to take our UK artists to the Indian market. And as the host mentioned, my journey to Universal Music was not a typical one. Growing up in a British Asian family, it might not surprise you to hear that growing up I wanted to be a doctor. How many people today are studying medicine? Just for a sense? Okay, right. But as you said, I ended up working in politics for 5 years, advising the Minister for Creative Industries and Digital Economy, and also working on 2 general election campaigns. It was there I was headhunted to come and work for Universal Music, and I've been here for the last 7 years. The High Commissioner kindly visited our offices in King's Cross, just about 25 minutes away from here, a few weeks ago, and we discussed many things, not least his encyclopedic knowledge of jazz music. But we also discussed how we can work together to attract more Indian students into the music industry. He assured me that you're the brightest and best students the UK has to offer. And that's very much why I'm here today. To give you a very quick overview of the kinds of opportunities available at our company. So I've got this very plain but hopefully informative slide which gives you an idea of some of the roles we hire for at Universal. So the more traditional positions like legal and finance, marketing and communications, data insights to influencer, strategy and the odd comedian. The internship scheme, which I'd love you all to apply for, is fantastic. It's an industry leader. We became the first major creative company in the UK to pay our interns about 15 years ago, and we now welcome anything between 50 to 60 interns every year in all of the departments that you can see on the screen. The important thing to know is we recruit all year round, so we don't just have one cohort. All of our vacancies can be found on umusic.com, and that's some actually very important thing to know, and it's something we're very proud at Universal. The vast majority of people who do the internship go on to get a full-time job either at Universal Music or in the wider creative industries. And most people ask me when applying for Universal Music, we can get anything between 500 to 1,000 applicants for every job. But the most important thing we're looking for is a demonstrable passion for music. And it always surprises me how many people apply for our jobs without mentioning the word music on their CV or application letter. So if working in our industry is something that appeals to you, have a think about how you can gain experience, which you can add to your CV. Being at university, there's many opportunities, whether it's musical societies, whether you're performers yourself, or whether you can help a friend who might be an artist develop their career. In the coming months, we'll also be launching a graduate scheme. I know the High Commissioner would like you to return to India, but I would love some of you to stay here and work for our fantastic company. So I do hope this gives you a flavour of what you can do at our company. It is a fantastic place to work. It's hugely creative, and I can't commend it enough. And I must say, a lot of people don't recognise this. The creative industries in the UK are worth 150 billion euros, and it's the fastest growing part in our economy. So a lot of people think the creative industries are just a soft, kind of nice thing to do, but we'd like to say we're a serious business that creates jobs and drives in this country. So I'm going to be around for the rest of the evening. If anybody is interested in working at Universal, come and find me. My email address is on the screen. I'll always reply to your emails and invite any of you here to the office if you'd like to come and have a look around. And finally, thank you to the High Commissioner and his amazing team for putting on this event. Having worked in government, I know how difficult and stressful it is, but to see a great turnout, I'm very honoured to be here, so thank you very much.
Jonathan, thank you very much. Can I just ask if High Commissioner visited your offices asking for an internship as well? Okay. Can I just say what a rare opportunity this is? You have somebody from Universal Music saying, here's my email, I promise to look at my inbox. Please write to me, please visit. How many of you have saved the email? I hope you guys have. Great, that's super. Just another expert this evening who's spared some time to share insights into recruitments and internships. Now we have Kanishk Misal, who's a business leader with about 22 years experience in transformation and business innovation. Kanishk has worked at TCS and now he heads the Cube, which is an employment and Gen AI skills focused platform. He's also founded Infinity Global, which challenged the recruitment landscape in the UK because they placed about 5,000 undiscovered talents into digital roles. So here's Kanishk Misal telling us all about how you can apply for internships and build a portfolio that makes your time in the UK productive and fruitful.
Hello, hi, good evening everyone. Can you hear me? Great, thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, for having us here, your team. I must say I've been here for 13 years. I've visited many events at the embassy, but this is actually wow. I think I feel proud that this is done in style, and it feel like you're proud Indian when you walk in. I'm sure you guys are seeing it firsthand too. I'm not going to do a death by PowerPoint. The purpose of my hopefully not a death by PowerPoint. I'm here to talk to you about something what I call rehearse the future. So everyone has asked me over the last 20 years of my work, and I've had extensive work with Boston Consulting Group, TCS, the White House, other government organizations, will I lose my job with AI? If you embrace AI, you will be able to save your job compared to someone who doesn't. So that's literally what's the kind of dimension. I am Kanishk Misal in a little bit more detail, and I must say, I have done so many talks everywhere, but the first 60 seconds, I'm still nervous. So one of the things I learned, which was a secret, was to actually say it out in the open when you start your first ever open session. I'd just like to go to the next slide. So I'm not going to tell you everything about my career here. I'm not going to waste my time because you're all millennials and next gen. So you guys probably can LinkedIn search my entire profile. But what I'm going to share with you are 3 things that I have learned in the last about 20 years of working in 7 different countries. The number 1, be yourself. And that's something that I understood much later in my life. And I must say, this is the second time in my entire life in a public open forum, I have gone and said that I'm gay. And it was a transformation for me, but the moment I did this 10 years ago, my career trajectory changed. And I became a lot more confident, and my whole career path was a different path. So I'm not saying anybody needs to come out or do anything here, but be who you are. Whether you are from your own country, thank you. Be proud of being who you are, your color, your race, your city, wherever you're from. Learn to remember that's who you are is number 1. So that's this first thing. The second thing I'd like to share with you is try and reach out. Make an effort to contact people. When I did my second startup after Tata Consultancy Services, where I was a managing director for 15 years, my God, that corporate world was a totally different realm. My first startup, which was called Infinity Global, I wrote an email to President Biden directly, and everyone laughed at me. They said, President Biden is going to reach out and speak to you. Are you joking? 6 months later, nothing happened. 18 months later, nothing happened. 3 years later, I bumped into one of the senators and they were very confident. They said, oh, we are here with Indians, we want to help you. So I said, I did write to your president, but he didn't respond. 4 days later, I got a call and I met the chief of staff in Washington. So, even what the ambassador said here, reach out to people. Reach out to people like me here on the ground. We've been here for 13 years. Reach out to anyone that you can. Don't hesitate. Last night I wrote to Mark Zuckerberg. Let's see what happens. But do it. It's worth it. So that's the second point. The third one is find your purpose. You'll be shocked. I was 41. I'm 42 now. I still count myself as an official millennial, but it's like a little borderline. But that's the one. Try and start finding your purpose. And the purpose is not the Range Rover. The purpose is not a house. The purpose is not the kid going to college. What is your purpose of why you're here? Are you here to help people? Are you going to make a difference to society? If you start finding what that makes a little difference to your life, that will align your career. And yes, of course, keep high goals. Once your purpose is set, from there on, everything else will fall back one by one. And this is another interesting incident that happened to me last year. I randomly visited McLeodganj, and there was a box kept outside where you had to put a purpose in. And I wrote down, I want to put 1 million people into work through my new Cube program. No connections, no pull, as it happens in India in many cases. Next day morning, I got a call. His Holiness the Dalai Lama met me. I mean, it was random and bizarre. And when I walked in, I asked him, and I had a zillion questions, but strangely, when you're standing in front of him, he's sitting on a chair, and I walked and asked him, I said, Your Holiness, I have a question. Can I create pathways to eliminate poverty? He says yes and no. Yes, so first was yes and no. And then he says, let me remember the exact words. He says, you create the knowledge of the heart and the mind. The children will create their own pathway. Once they create the pathway, that's the inner intelligence awakening up. And that's the fundamental reason why corporate careers and corporate programs are failing. Because each one of us, including me at TCS, assumed that everybody had to be a vice president. So that's the corporate path. But that has changed today. The next generation is looking at different careers. They're doing 3 always the most confusing. So, what I'm going to share with you here is the whole technology evolution that's happened. I have taken permission from White House to present this to this forum here, but this, don't worry about the content here. But what I want to share with you is that's when the internet started. ChatGPT is enrolling about 100 million new users every 2 months. That's the fundamental change that's happening here. This is what you need to observe. It's not a chatbot. This journey from here, the internet to internet protocol, internet things, it took 20 years. From cognitive systems, robotics, to your smart cars, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, and now we are somewhere here at this point where we have AI coming in. And you can imagine the transformation from here that they're talking about. These are things like human-machine convergence. Will we have a machine inside our body? And those are the kind of things that are likely to happen. So and I was asked when I was coming here, what would I like to share? Whichever career path that you're in, whether you are a biotechnologist, whether you're a chemistry, whether you're in sciences, arts, please appreciate the data and the world of IT is going to impact every sector. So make an effort to try and learn something while you're doing this. I'm sure many of you have Spotify, you have seen the AI platform that's got launched into your app. Everyone has a personal DJ today. That's the change, what AI is bringing in. Do you know that 50 million people around the world are content creators already? And that's a whole new industry that didn't exist. The pay structure here is higher than McKinsey and BCG. So that's the difference that you might want to explore if you're looking at careers. Another important element, 65%, this is the BCG data point, 65% of our children, including mine, will not senior engineer does not exist today, and that's what's going to happen in the next few years. So if you can start embracing the impact of technology, that's my one suggestion. And I will leave you with this little bit of thought in terms of what are the